FORA.tv. The world is thinking.
I was, again, working for that same newspaper, and afternoon newspaper. The president was only going to be in Dallas for about 3 hours. He was going to make a noon speech. My assignment, I was the federal reporter by then. I had moved up from the criminal side of the courthouse. And my assignment, because he was only going to be there, and we had all these deadlines and all of that, our entire reportorial staff was on the story at various places. And my assignment was to cover the arrival of President Kennedy and Mrs. Kennedy and the party at Love Field, and then stay there until he came back, and then report the departure, and then the other reporters would do everything in between. It had been raining that morning in Dallas. I had, with the Secret Service and the Dallas Police Department, had arranged, because they understood the situation, we'd explained it, the Times Herald negotiated a deal so I could have an open telephone line right on the fence line, because the Air Force One was going to come over from Fort Worth, just a short flight, and then the motorcade was going to leave from there, but any ordinary citizens were allowed to come and wave and welcome and all that sort of stuff behind a fence, and I had an open phone line just inside the fence to report, and they had said, well, they're about to leave Fort Worth, and I was testing the phone to the rewrite desk, rewrite man, and he said to me, hey, look, I'm going to be writing under pressure here, under deadline in a moment. I'd just like to know, is the bubble top going to be on the presidential limousine? And I looked down the ramp. There was a ramp there at Love Field. I couldn't see. I knew there were 10 vehicles in the motorcade, but I couldn't see them because they were lined up, but they were down the ramp. And so I said, well, I'll go find out. And I was a federal reporter. I knew the Secret Service agents that were assigned in Dallas, particularly the guy who was the head of the Dallas office of the Secret Service. So he was standing there. I went over to him. I could see the motorcade. I got to where the motorcade was. I could see it down the ramp. And there was a bubble top over the presidential limousine. I said to the agent in charge, I said, tell him the truth. Rewrite wants to know, boom, 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 is it big? And he said, well, because it had been raining, but it had cleared. But anyhow, the agent says, well, it looks clear. And then he yelled at another agent who had a two-way radio, one of these big two-way radios. He said, check downtown, is it clear? So he checks downtown. He says, clear downtown. The agent says to the other agents who are in the motorcade, take the bubble top off. I go back, do my job to the rewrite man, and then to finish the story, I walked back into the Love Field terminal, and immediately the word came, and I don't know how I got into the city desk on the phone. That was before, so anyhow, I got in there, and they said, go to Parkland Hospital. I got there just as they announced that President Kennedy was dead. Then I was told to go to the police station because they just arrested somebody. Well, that was Lee Harvey Oswald. And I spent the rest of the day at the police station. And about midnight, the place was chaos. I mean, there were reporters, and there were cops and agents and everybody. The place was just a mob scene, the Dallas police station. About midnight, there had been a meeting going on between the police chief and a bunch of big shots, and I just went down to waited in the ante room with several other reporters, see what they would say when they came out. And the door opens, the meeting breaks up, the door opens, and that agent who had taken the bubble top off sees me, and he comes right over to me, and he was an old man. He was probably 42 years old. He comes over to me, and big tears in his eyes. I'm just a kid. I'm a real kid. Big tears in his eyes, and he says, Jim, if I just hadn't taken the bubble top off.